Yields up to 10%, REITs to buy right now. You want high yield without high blood pressure. Fair. But in today's market, 10% yield sounds a lot like trust me, bro in disguise. And yet, miraculously, there are still REITs, real estate investment trusts, that are dishing out eye-watering income streams without lighting your portfolio on fire. The trick? Knowing which ones are golden retrievers and which ones are radioactive raccoons. Let's dig into some of the top high-yield REITs worth buying right now, backed by cold, hard numbers, not just vibes and Reddit threads. We're talking up to 10% annual yield, but we'll skip the over-leveraged dumpster fires. First, a word on risk, aka, don't be dumb. If you're chasing 10% yield in this economy, you better understand what you're signing up for. There's no free lunch. High yields often scream risk, distress, or management delusion. So before you back up the truck, remember, a REIT paying you 10% is either 1, severely undervalued, 2, covering a big dividend with unsustainable debt, or 3, the financial equivalent of a Tinder date who says I'm between jobs right now. That's why this list only includes REITs with strong underlying cash flow, funds from operations, or FFO. Sustainable payout ratios. Decent balance sheets. History of not being stupid. 1. AGNC Investment Corporation, AGNC, yield, 14%, but wait. Let's get the wild one out of the way. AGNC is a mortgage REIT, not an equity REIT, which means it doesn't own buildings, it owns paper tied to buildings. Basically, AGNC borrows short and lends long, scooping up agency-backed mortgage securities. Sounds boring, until you realize it's like walking a financial tightrope with a gust of wind called interest rates blowing at your face 24/7. Still, AGNC has managed to keep the dividend afloat, barely. It pays monthly, which is nice, but your income depends heavily on Fed policy. If you believe in rate cuts and have a stomach made of iron, AGNC could make it rain. But just know, this isn't a buy-and-forget name, it's a tactical trade. Snarky verdict, AGNC is like dating someone who's incredibly attractive but also incredibly high maintenance. Enjoy the ride, but don't marry it. 2. Omega Healthcare Investors, OHI, yield, 8.5%. OHI specializes in skilled nursing facilities, basically, where your grandma ends up after breaking her hip or catching pneumonia. Sounds morbid, but the economics are legit. An aging population plus chronic underbuilding equals tailwinds for long-term care. OHI's tenants are sometimes shaky, and reimbursement changes can smack revenue around, but this REIT's been doing this dance for decades. It's cut the dividend exactly once in the last 20-plus years, and even then, it recovered quickly. The FFO payout ratio is manageable, and the dividend is covered. Plus, management actually knows what it's doing, which is a shockingly rare trait in the REIT world. Snarky verdict, not sexy, but stable. If OHI were a person, it'd be your accountant uncle who wears beige and never misses a mortgage payment. 3. Arbor Realty Trust, ABR, yield, 10% plus. ABR is the rare high-yield MREIT that doesn't have its pants around its ankles every time the Fed sneezes. It focuses on multifamily bridge loans, short-term loans for apartment renovations or repositioning. Translation, it finances the kind of landlords who say we're upgrading to luxury vinyl plank flooring and then charge $300 more in rent. Arbor has been shockingly good at maintaining a hefty dividend and growing book value. While the market throws a tantrum over commercial real estate doom-scrolling, Arbor quietly collects payments and lends with solid underwriting standards. Yes, it's a bit of a contrarian play. But look at the numbers: consistent profitability, high ROE, and a dividend that's covered by core earnings. Snarky verdict, like a loan shark with a heart of gold, ABR is aggressive, but not reckless. You might actually sleep well holding this one. 4. Starwood Property Trust, STWD, yield, 9.7%. Barry Sternlicht, aka the Bond King of real estate, runs this one, and say what you will about Barry's media appearances, but the man knows how to make a buck. Starwood is diversified across commercial lending, real estate equity, and even physical properties. In short, they do everything. That could be a recipe for disaster, except they've somehow pulled it off. STWD has paid a steady dividend since 2009 and never cut it. That's wild for a company tied to commercial real estate in 2024. While there's some exposure to office space, cue dramatic music, most of its loans are well collateralized, and it has significant real estate equity that cushions the risk. Plus, it's internally managed, which we love, because externally managed REITs often treat shareholders like second-class citizens. Snarky verdict: Barry built a fortress. STWD is like Batman, operates in the dark, scares people, but somehow always comes out on top. 5. Gaming and leisure properties, GLPI, yield, 6.5%. But wait, you say, that's not 10%. True. But it's one of the most durable high-yielders out there. GLPI owns the land under casinos and leases them out on long-term, triple-net agreements. That means the tenants, not GLPI, handle maintenance, taxes, and insurance. Las Vegas could sink into a pit of lava, and GLPI would still collect rent from Penn Entertainment and Caesars properties in the Midwest. It's boring income in a sexy industry. Their dividend is growing slowly, and payout ratios are conservative. For retirees and long-term income seekers, this is the golden goose, not the high-octane racer. Bonus: no office space exposure, and almost no tenant turnover. Snarky verdict: it's the tortoise in a race full of cracked-out rabbits. Boring, steady, and rich. A few honorable mentions. LTC Properties, LTC, yield, 7%. Aging boomers equals more beds needed. Not as strong as OHI, but still worth a look. Ares Commercial Real Estate, Acre, yield, 13%. High-yield thrill ride with a side of heartburn. Good management, but cyclical. Broadmark Realty, BRMK, yield, 12%. Residential construction loans, but some recent troubles. Maybe a recovery play? Final thoughts: yield is a tool, not a religion. Before you buy a REIT for its yield, ask yourself, is this a dividend, or a bribe? High yield should reward you for risk, not trap you in a slow-motion implosion. Stick with companies whose dividends are backed by real cash flow, reasonable leverage, and smart asset management. And if it looks too good to be true, it probably involves a lot of office space in San Francisco. So yes, you can get 8 to 10% yield right now. But do it with your eyes open, your brain on, and maybe a Tums within reach. Disclosure: this blog contains sarcasm, economic realism, and actual REIT names. Do your own due diligence. Or don't, and enjoy playing REIT roulette. Your move.